Hello beautiful people, welcome to a meal prep video. I just ran upstairs to grab some earrings. Hubs and I are going grocery shopping. We're gonna get the basics and then we are going to be meal prepping. Let's go. I had no intention of doing this part of the video, but when I was looking at the footage a little bit ago, this meal prep and all of our meal preps require so much attention. I don't really have time. I'm not good enough at meal prepping, and that should tell you something, but I'm not good enough at meal prepping to articulate what exactly we're doing in the moment to take that time, because then I lose focus on what I'm doing. And so I thought I would marry the vlogish footage that I already have with a little bit of a rundown of what we did to meal prep. Prefacing this by, probably shouldn't do what I do. It's probably not the best way. Second, if someone uses what I do to pick every single thing I do and say apart in order to sell you their product, whether that's training or their meal services, if they don't have credentials, like they're not a dietitian or a nutritionist verifiably with experience, don't buy into it. And if they're a trainer offering you nutritional stuff, then run.
Always consider the source. You wouldn't go to a dietitian who is just a dietitian. They are not also somehow certified to train and ask them for a training plan. They may recommend that you exercise, but they're not going to train you. They're not going to offer you a training plan. So make sure you're getting your information from credible sources and not from people like me who are just random people sharing their lives on the internet. I am not an expert.
Backing that up, this is for entertainment purposes. It's so you can see what I'm doing. As I shared in my last video, my journey is more of a cautionary tale. Like you're kind of seeing like what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong, and all of the things. So now that we have that out of the way, I am not an expert. I am not doing this so that you'll do as I do. I'm just sharing what we did, and I'm also not asking for a lot of feedback. So this is just what I'm doing. It's just what we're doing, and we're gonna see if it works for us or not, and it may or it may not. And this meal prep though is my favorite meal prep that I have done on my entire weight loss journey. So way back a million years ago, I used to meal prep all the time when I was single. Those were always awesome, but it's a balancing act to meal prep for two people that are very different. We have very different tastes, we have very different styles, and yet we're making it work, and it's been really good. So this week we meal prepped 32 meals. So we went to the store. We did not have a list. We did not have a plan, and I think it's almost better that we don't have like a locked down plan because of the way that we prepare. So if we're like made a super stringent, like, okay, we're gonna make this and it's gonna make exactly this many meals, then it would get so complicated. So what we do is we have a protein source, a vegetable, and a carb source for each of the meals.
So I'm about to show you our starting point. Our starting point is we went to the grocery store. Before we went to the grocery store, I did double check to make sure we had the basics things that we like to keep at the house. Like we had enough rice, we had enough salt, so we had to get some pink Himalayan sea salt because we were almost out. And anything that we needed, we did go ahead and grab, but we weren't armed with like a full-on like menu made list. We didn't make a menu and then make a list. We knew we wanted protein, we knew we wanted carbs, and we knew we wanted a veggie at each meal. So we have some frozen vegetables. We've got broccoli, green beans, we got some edamame. The hub's got some peanuts. I got some almonds. We have a few little kits. We got top sirloin and salmon fillet, a couple Olippops, some lemon. We got chicken breast and thighs, some berries, and some sweet potatoes, and some light whipping cream or whipped cream. For everything that we got, we spent $160, and we got a coupon as well. So that was pretty cool. The coupon was for like $10 off of a $75 purchase. And In addition to that, we did already have the rice that we're going to use at home, and we already had the hamburger meat. But the stuff that we bought, I bought the breast. We're not going to use the breast for this meal prep. So once we have all of our ingredients out, ready, veggies washed, it's time to start prepping. And we like to switch off back and forth who's in the kitchen. So we both are making we start with the meats, then we do the sides, and we sort of go back and forth as to who's in the kitchen working. And my husband definitely helps me manage, because I was editing a video while we were meal prepping. So I was like up and down the stairs, and he definitely saved me from burning the sweet potato fries. So that was really awesome. I guess they're not really sweet potato fries. They're like sweet potato cubes, but still. Important to note, we are weighing everything before we cook it. So that's how we decided to do it. We weigh all of the meat before we cook it, and that's what we use to determine the total number of calories that are in that dish. So if we're making sirloin steak, for instance, if we're gonna grill it, we weigh it before we cook it because it cooks down. So then when we weigh it after, we use the first weight to determine the calories, and we use the second weight to determine the portions. So we know how many calories, and let's say we've got 2,000 calories worth of meat, and we want 4 portions, then we want 500 calories worth of each. So then we weigh the meat, and the total number of grams, we divide that also by 4, giving us the portion size for each container. Now, for those who are wondering, no, I did not weigh the prepackaged beef that I had. It was already weighed. It was already pre-weighed. So I knew exactly how much was in the pack. Then I just needed to measure. And how much was in the pack was going to equal those calories. So then we weighed it at the end. And it's the same with the stuff from the butcher. Like the salmon was already weighed. We have the exact number. We watched them weigh it. So we didn't need to weigh it, but we did note the weight and determine the caloric value of the meat raw. I feel like if you've never meal prepped before, watching this video might be the worst thing. It's really not that complicated of a process. However, this is what is working for us, and you need to find what works for you, and this might not be it, and that's okay. And it likely isn't it, and that's okay. But measuring everything out is so important, and then keeping that run, especially when there's multiple people, having a way of keeping track of everything like us with writing it down is so important. So we write the weights of everything down before we cook, then we write the weight of everything after we cook. And we really do just teamwork this process, and that also makes it easier to meal prep so much because we were doing several different meals, which I will show you all at the end. So like I said, we weigh everything we cook. That gives us the total number of calories. We find the calories per gram either by the label or by looking it up online. You do not have to have an app for this. One time somebody sent me a very aggressive message about how I need to have an app because it's impossible for me to know the caloric information, and I don't know the caloric information of everything. However, using Google, I can look it up. And you can too. So in case you were under that impression, you do not have to buy an app or give an app permission to do whatever they want to do on your phone. Like, you can look it up online. And once we get the total number of calories per gram, we write the total calories for the entire amount cooked down. We also add in any extra. So like if we've added 50 calories worth of barbecue sauce or anything like that, we add that in. Once it's cooked, we weigh the food again. And so if we've added barbecue sauce, if we've added oil or anything that we've added, it will be distributed amongst the portions that we decide. So we weigh the food after, and then the total number of calories on step 1 that we just took, we divide that number by the total number of servings that we're going to make, and that gives us the calories. So like I said, based on those two numbers, we decide how many portions we're going to divide it into, and also how we're going to pair it to make the most caloric sense. So for instance, we ended up, as I already mentioned, having to cook more rice because that's what made the most sense for our meal prep this past weekend.
Let's pause. Why do we meal prep? Why do my husband and I meal prep? Well, we like to. and we've discovered that it fits our life the best. Meal prepping allows us to grab and go. We don't have to spend a lot of time thinking about what we're going to eat. It's already prepared. We don't have to measure out what we're eating. We've already measured. Not only that, but when you make a meal, and let's say there's 4 servings, the way we do it with measuring every single thing and then dividing it. So it's like if you were doing a crock pot meal, right? It's like if you were doing a crock pot meal. It's hard to tabulate everything within a crock pot meal calorically because you put a lot of different things in there. But let's say you made your crock pot meal and then you split it into 6. So you added the total calories for everything and then you divide it by 6. That gives you that accounts for all your calories. It's a lot more accurate. So doing it this way, meal prepping allows us to be more accurate with our calories, and it just helps me be more productive. Doing YouTube for my job, I spend a lot of time editing. I also struggle with focus. So if I'm pulled away multiple times a day for an hour to cook, 30 minutes to cook, then it takes me longer to get back in the groove. So whereas if I have a prepped meal, I pop it in the microwave and go. It also allows me and my husband to eat at different times. So he's got different training goals, different caloric needs, and it lets him eat when he needs to eat and eat how much he needs to eat. And he is also tracking how much he's eating. So it just works best for us, and that's why. So you might not need to meal prep. And we don't meal prep breakfast. Breakfast we make every day. So I don't always eat breakfast, but when I do, I make it. I don't do a meal prep breakfast. Some people do. That's just not my cup of tea for breakfast. And yeah, so that's the why we meal prep. Now, I've already went over in great detail sort of our system on how we meal prep. So, the things that we use for meal tracking is we use just a composition book, like 88 cents at Walmart. We write down everything, and then that also allows my husband to measure and write things down, and me. So if he adds it, like let's say he decides he's cooking something and it needs an extra ingredient. So important things to track that you might not think of is your spices. So some spices like rosemary, for instance, it has calories in it, and it's not gonna break your diet if you don't count those calories, but it's also helpful if you're trying to track everything to figure out how much rosemary you're using on those potatoes and account for those calories. It just helps you be a little bit more accurate. And so we use a notepad. I use my phone, I've already shared. We use a food scale. We also use meal prep containers. So the meal prep containers that we used in this video are crappy. If you have room in your fridge, I recommend using something like this or something like this. So this is plastic, but it's really nice, the Rubbermaid one. These are probably my favorite not glass ones. Now these are my favorite for sentimental reasons. My sister got me these pink meal prep containers. They came in, she ordered a set and it came in 2 sizes. So I love the bigger size. And if our freezer was bigger or we had an extra freezer, then I would use those for this. And we may end up getting a freezer. I just don't want to put a freezer out in the garage. It's my big hang up is that I want to take stuff, I want to hide the water heater that's out there. I don't want to add something else that I need to hide, so but yeah, neither here nor there. We may need to get like a freezer because our freezer here at this house is very tiny, which is why these little meal prep things are perfect. And you may be like, why disposable? That's so wasteful. Well, we try to reuse them. But the reason that I got these specifically is, one, it fits in our freezer. We did 32 meals and they all fit in our freezer. But also, these are nice because if my husband takes them to work and they don't come home, well, that's like 50 cents. If he takes my glass one home and to work and it doesn't come home, or it sits until everything in there is like super moldy or maggot infested because it's just been sitting there for a long time, I'm throwing that away. I don't want to throw away something my sister sent me, and I don't want to throw away something I spent several dollars on, but I will.
The other thing that we use are just mailing labels. So I got like, I don't even know how many I got, but it was like $1 at Walmart for a ridiculous amount of these mailing labels. And I just put the caloric information and what's in it on the outside of the box. And that way we don't have to like look at every single box to figure out what's in it. Also, these little milk containers, and like I said, I will link them down below, but they are not the best. They even just when you open the lid, sometimes it will crack up at the top. So I do not recommend them. But the other thing that we have is a food scale. Now, I bought a food scale from Target when we first moved here, and that food scale is now in the trash. Like, it's been in the trash. So I ordered this one from Amazon. This one I ordered from Amazon when we first moved to Missouri, and then it got lost in the move here. So I had to repurchase it. But I never changed the batteries one time, the entire time we lived in Missouri. And we used this all of the time when we were there. So the food scale is a must for meal prep, and food labels are so nice to have for food prep.
I love that we're doing this together on so many levels. It is a fun Sunday afternoon activity for us to do, and it's improving our quality of life, and I love it. I highly recommend it. I know in Utah at the yoga studio I went, the instructors had like this, and I don't know a ton about it because I just talked to them about it like one time, but like this group, and they all, like everybody made a meal, and then they just made X number of meals, and then they brought it and they like traded. So it was like a collaborative meal prep that they were doing. And I think that would be so cool to see something like that pop up all over. Maybe it's already is all over. I haven't seen anything or heard about anything like that here, but it would be so cool if someone who ate similarly to you, if there was like a group of people, like maybe at church or maybe in the PTA, like everybody eats similar meals, and you could just group so that way you're not making like 10 different dishes. You make one, and then you have 10 friends, and then y'all are all swapping. So you'll all have like a variety of meals. Just a thought, if you're struggling, or if you live close to family, you could do it with a family member who has similar goals to you as well. And that is almost wrapping up our video. Well, here is our meal prep. So it's 32 meals. We spent roughly $160 today at the grocery store. We had some things on hand, and not everything we bought at the grocery store was for this meal prep. So, I mean, it is for food for the week, but this worked out beautifully. We have so many awesome meals. I think this is gonna be great this week. This week we did really well, especially since we were not very planned out, unfortunately. But we made sure we had protein, a carb source, and vegetables. So, and then we have more vegetables on top of this. So if we're still hungry, we can prepare our vegetables as well. So let's look at the meals up close.
Alrighty, so we have beef. So this is just beef, rice, and broccoli. So this is a very simple meal. It's kind of a staple for me. It's one of my favorites. This is sirloin, sweet potato, and broccoli. It comes to, this one needs to be updated. It comes to 620 calories. This one was 350. This is salmon, rice, and broccoli, and the sauce, everything's accounted for. So even like with the potatoes, we did the spray and we counted for the spray. This is sweet potatoes. Yeah, so the sweet potatoes, we did the spray, which you guys saw. My husband did olive oil on these potatoes, and we counted for that as well. That's what he was talking about. So broccoli, rice, salmon, we have barbecue chicken, which is boneless, skinless thighs, and we have the potatoes, which he did with olive oil. And we, like I said, accounted for oils, accounted for the spray, accounted for everything. Broccoli, green beans, a pasta stuff that my husband found, and then which also has some veggies and more salmon. And then this one also has like a pasta or like a noodle, some kind of source at the bottom, chicken thighs, and green beans. So this one is $430, $670, 484, 464, I mean. 593, 620, 620, and 350. So those are our meals. And then we also have some prepped watermelon and then popcorn if we want it.
Well, beautiful people, this is actually wrapping up our video. I am very excited about the meals that we made. I did already film a full day of eating at this point, and most of what I was eating was from this meal prep, plus the things that I supplement the meal prep with, like I eat a snack typically in the evenings, and I make breakfast, not every day, but a lot of the time. So it also was my first time eating the slightly higher calorie range. So I'm really excited to share that with you next week. I think it's gonna be next Friday. So look out for that, and I love you so much. I will see you on Monday. Or if you would like to see the cleanup, head to April Lauren Home to watch me.
My cleaning video corresponds with this video today. So it is the meal prep cleanup video. Also, my sister recently launched a few more cleaning videos on her channel, so be sure to check her out as well. We are enjoying working together on our cleaning / home channels, and I can't wait to start doing some of the decor videos, especially getting my guest rooms ready for the holidays. I'm very excited. Thank you for being part of my YouTube family. You guys uplift me so much. The birthday wishes that you guys left me on my last video warmed my heart so much. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you. You definitely know how to lift me up, and it's amazing. This community is amazing.